And welcome to another exciting edition of
Midwest Reviews.
What we're going to be looking at today is our favorite top 10 films of the 90s. One of my favorite movies of the 90s is Hunt for Red October. And the actual setting of it is in the 80s during the Cold War. And it stars Alec Baldwin, Sean Connery, and Sam Neill. And it's about an advanced Typhoon class sub built by the Soviets, and its captain, Ramius, played by Connery, defects to the United States.
Number 10 is the 1990 movie Arachnophobia. The movie was based on a story about a killer spider that gets sent from Venezuela inside of a dead man's coffin back to a small town in Canaima, a country town. Well, this spider ends up breeding with just a common house spider, and between them creating a deadly venom that just starts killing people off in the movie.
Another one of my favorites from the 90s is Jurassic Park: The Lost World with Jeff Goldblum. And it was kind of nice to see Jeff Goldblum take the lead in the movie rather than just being along for the ride.
Number 9 for me, from his 2, Aftershock, which of course starred Fred Ward. It was delivered as much as the first one did. It didn't have Kevin Bacon, sadly.
The second Toy Story, ironically, another sequel. Had all the recurring stars, Tim Allen, Tom Hanks, and I really think, honestly, in my opinion, it's better than the first one because it focuses more on Tom Hanks' character, Woody.
Number 8 for me is Batman Forever because Tommy Lee Jones, excellent Two-Face. I thought he played the part perfectly. There's nothing against
Aaron Eckhart.
Aaron Eckhart. He was a great Harvey Dent, but when it comes to the role of Two-Face, Tommy Lee Jones, hands down.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey as the Riddler, loved it. And then, Val Kilmer and Chris O'Donnell characters, loved it. So that was my favorite in number 8.
Again, that's one of my favorites also. Nicole Kidman, excellent Dr. Chase Meridian. But I think intellectually she was more than a match for Batman, Val Kilmer, in the 90s movies. Because he could play Bruce Wayne, but he could also project Batman persona through the Bat outfit.
Number 7 is the movie Twister. And I like Twister because it takes place in Oklahoma, where we live. Now, it starred Bill Paxton, and it also co-starred Helen Hunt, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and who's that one guy? Carrie Elwes. I like the movie because, it's about tornadoes, something that we, have to deal with here.
Another one of my favorites is James Bond, The World Is Not Enough. Starred Denise Richards. Had Denise Richards and actually had Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. All the Pierce Brosnans are a little campy, but you know what? I liked him as James Bond. He could project that era of Bond, and he did it exceptionally well, and that one is actually a pretty good storyline.
My number 6 is Hook from 1990 as well. That movie starred Robin Williams and Dustin Hoffman and Julia Roberts. It was nice to see for them to go into a story that didn't feature Peter Pan as a small boy, but if he grew up. Phil Collins, I loved it. He was in the movie. Didn't realize it till recently. So
Hook is my favorite out of the 90s just because it was a movie I grew up with. But if you're going to have somebody play Hook, Dustin Hoffman, hands down. But Dustin Hoffman looked the part, he projected the part, and then on top of that, Robin Williams, as Cameron said, adds a what-if storyline. What if Peter decided to go back, have a family of his own, and then somehow something makes him have to come back to Neverland? I like that idea. So I think it is probably, like I said, that's probably my favorite.
So number 5, Toy Story. I personally favor the original with Tim Allen and Tom Hanks. I like the storyline of it. I thought it was very cool.
Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country, which was the last full-length feature film with the 60s cast in it. And you know what? As far as just action plus story and pace, it's actually pretty good.
I will agree with you on that one. That's a good one. Though it's not on my list, I do agree with him that it is one of the best Star Treks. Okay, number 4, Dumb and Dumber. Get Jeff Daniels. You've seen him in action movies like Speed. You've seen him in Arachnophobia. You've seen him in dramatic roles. Never hardly seen him in a comedy. He goes and does this movie, him and Carrie. both together just clicked.
And I'm going to go with Jurassic Park. Steven Spielberg pushed the limits of the then technology with animatronics and everything else, animation. I mean, just it was a unique story.
And Back to the Future, Part 3. I personally like this one, the story of going to the Old West. It wasn't meant to be a Western, but, you know, in a way it kind of did. And I like the idea of Doc, meaning, you know, the teacher, Clara Clayton. It's like, here, Doc, it's all about science and this, and that, and then all of a sudden a woman gets thrown in the mix, and he's like, oh, you know, like...
Well, that's just like every man.
That's true, that's just every man. But the fact that they, you know, featured, you know, Tom Wilson to be his great-great-grandfather or whatever, Buford, Mad Dog Tannen.
Nardi, I guess, for my number 2, I'm actually going to go with his number 3. You know, I think it's the best out of the trilogy. You know, and the funny thing is it was actually about Doc Brown. The other all 3 movies aren't about Marty. He's along for the ride.
But the train at the very end, that was another reason I liked it. So
that's a step up from the DeLorean.
That's a step up from the DeLorean. So number 2, and it is the original Jurassic Park. And as with him, you know, I like the same reasons. You know, Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and those actors, Richard Attenborough. The concept, I thought, was just amazing.
All right, I already gave you my number 1, but if I'm going to list another movie from the 90s that I kind of enjoy, it's not necessarily my favorite. It may rank down there at number 10, but it's actually Disney's Tarzan, which came out in very late 90s.
1999, I think, yeah.
One of Disney's only movies that does not have magic in it.
Yeah.
And again, Phil Collins did the music for it. And for the longest time, I thought Belle was the best animated princess. I thought she was the most attractive out of all of them. And then I saw Jane, and I realized I was wrong. So, and anyway, it's just a really cool take on the story of Tarzan.
And for me, my number 1 personal favorite of the 90s, That Thing You Do. You know, I honestly, I was blown away by it. I was, like, surprised. You know, he delivered with the time period and with the songs making them sound like they come out of the 60s. So, and I almost forgot. I mean, I can't forget about this, but all I have to say in 2 words, Liv Tyler. Enough said.
Yeah, pretty much.
Enough said. So, those are our top 10 movies of the 90s. Tell us, what are your favorite movies of the 90s, you know? It could be whatever, so, I mean, we may not have mentioned it, but we would love to know what you guys think is a good movie of the 90s. So.
And I think we should actually do a part 2, but something different.
Yes. In fact, I think we'll come back and do our top 10 shows, television shows.
And they aren't just certain things like Full House. We're talking everything from animation, things like that sort.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that. Our review of the 90s up next.
Aye.
I need also to see if the camera's picking up wind.
Let's see, Key West.
La 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 la. Oh!